Stranded on a desolate highway, Olivia had no idea the rugged stranger offering her help would become a household name just 3 years later. The truth? It left her absolutely speechless. 3 years later, Olivia's jaw dropped as she stared at the screen. The man who had saved her on that lonely highway wasn't just anyone. He was Joe Rogan, the biggest voice in podcasting. But let's rewind to where it all began. The steady hum of her car engine coughed, sputtered, and then silence. Olivia gripped the steering wheel, her breath hitching as dread settled in. The dashboard was lifeless. No warning lights, no flickers of hope. "Not now, please not now," she muttered, pulling her coat tighter against the chilling night air. She stepped out, her boots crunching on gravel. Her phone? Dead to the world. No signal, no help in sight. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. She tried waving at the few cars that sped by, but none slowed down. The weight of isolation pressed on her, fear creeping in with every passing moment. She sat back in the driver's seat, tears threatening to spill as she scrolled through old messages on her phone, hoping for some comfort. Her parents' voices echoed in her mind. "Always be prepared, Olivia. Always check the weather, the gas, and never trust strangers." The air outside grew colder. Olivia wrapped herself tighter in her coat, her breath fogging up the window as she watched the empty road. Just as despair started to settle, 2 bright headlights pierced through the darkness. Relief and caution intertwined in her chest. The truck slowed, its engine growling like a beast in the quiet night. A tall figure stepped out, cloaked in mystery. A leather jacket, a cap pulled low. His voice was calm, almost soothing. "Car trouble?" "Yeah, it just died," Olivia stammered. "No signal. I've been stuck for over an hour." "Nearest town's 15 miles that way," he said, pointing into the abyss. "I can give you a ride if you want." Olivia hesitated. Her parents' warnings about strangers echoed in her mind, but the cold was unforgiving, and something about him felt safe. She nodded, stepping into the warm truck cabin. The stranger handed her a bottle of water from the dashboard. "Here, you look cold. This might help." Olivia accepted it hesitantly, the warmth of the bottle contrasting with the icy grip of her fingers. The silence between them was heavy, yet oddly comforting. Olivia tried to break it. "Do you live around here?" "Not really, just passing through," he replied, his tone guarded. She couldn't help but wonder, who was this man? His voice, his demeanor. Something about him felt larger than life. As the miles ticked by, Olivia noticed subtle details. The worn leather of his jacket, the faint scent of cologne mixed with motor oil, the way his fingers tapped rhythmically against the steering wheel. It was as if he carried stories he wasn't willing to share. The conversation turned casual but never too personal. He asked if she had family nearby, and she shared stories of her parents and their overprotective nature. He listened, nodding thoughtfully, but offered little about himself. "You remind me of my sister," he said suddenly, his voice softer. "She was always careful, always prepared. It's a good thing." She noticed the way he gripped the steering wheel, firm, confident. His eyes, sharp and focused, scanned the road as though every detail mattered. Olivia's curiosity grew, but she didn't push. The truck pulled into the glowing sanctuary of a gas station. "This is where I leave you," he said, his sharp eyes meeting hers. "Take care of yourself." And just like that he was gone, a fleeting moment of kindness on a cold night. Lazy Sunday, takeout containers. Olivia wasn't paying much attention to the podcast her friend had queued up until she heard it. Wait, that voice. Her phone slipped from her hands as she stared at the screen. There he was, animated and larger than life. No cap, no rugged truck, just Joe Rogan, the world's most famous podcaster. "Carly, I think I've met him before," Olivia whispered, recounting her story. "Joe Rogan gave you a ride?" "No way." Carly laughed, But Olivia wasn't laughing. The pieces were falling into place, each memory from that night sharpening into focus. Could I have known back then who he was? Did he know who he'd become? Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that her life had intersected with someone extraordinary. She began to wonder, what if she'd asked him more questions? What if she hadn't taken the ride? Every choice, every encounter felt magnified. The thought lingered in her mind for weeks. We're all just passing through, but some passers-by leave a mark you can't forget. Sometimes the most ordinary encounters hold extraordinary surprises. That night on the highway was just a blip in my life, until it wasn't. Do you believe in fate or coincidence? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to join me for more stories like this. Looking back, I realize life has a funny way of connecting the dots. That night was just one of them, but it changed everything. What's the most unexpected encounter you've ever had? Share below.